Come with me if you want the review. Happy 3rd of July, film fans. Epic Film Guy Justin here. Hope you're preparing yourself for an awesome 4th of July weekend. Check out some awesome movies. I had the opportunity to check out what would have been, or should be, I should say, the big hit of the 4th of July weekend at the box office. Terminator Genisys, the heavily anticipated and long-awaited Terminator sequel. The 5th film in the franchise, and hot on the heels of the dreary and poorly received Terminator Salvation. Terminator Genisys, let's get this out of the way, had a lot of weight on its chest from the get-go. We had 2 really mediocre to bad sequels before Genisys, and we all know that the studio still owns the rights, and they want to pump something out so they can continue to own those rights. Now, let's just get this out of the way. Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the best bodybuilders of all time, was not able to lift that weight off his chest on his own in this movie. James Cameron had given this film a great endorsement, saying it is the true sequel to Terminator 2. Well, is it? We're going to get to that. Terminator Genisys, at its core, is trying to do what J.J. Abrams' Star Trek reboot did back in 2009. It's trying to rewrite the history, take what's good out of the first and second film, which are classics, mind you, 2 of the best movies of all time, and do its own thing with them, use time travel to do a new spin, and change the timeline. Here, the film starts out in the future. The future does not look anything like the future that James Cameron set in his first and second films. It's bright, it's CGI-laden, and there's no animatronics or miniatures, which loses all of its charm. Did I expect those things? No, but at the same time, I really have a deep feeling that CGI is just going to start ruining movies like this. In the future, we have the traditional storyline. Kyle Reese is going to be sent back from the future to the past. Skynet has fallen, but as their last-ditch effort, they're sending a Terminator back to the past, yada yada yada. You know the rest of the story. So, we get to the past, and things aren't as they originally seemed. The iconic opening scene with Arnold's young Terminator showing up at the observatory, now with no Bill Paxton? Really? That's the guy you got to replace him? Seriously. And now we've got an older Arnold Terminator, T-800 Model 101, who attacks him with a Sarah Connor who seems to know everything that's going on. We meet Kyle Reese in the original iconic scene with the store. He's at the department store trying to get some clothes, and who's there but a T-1000? Why the hell is there a T-1000 back in 1984? We never find out. I guess we're not meant to care. We just want to see a cool, now Asian T-1000 kicking ass. Yet, the impact of a T-1000 is taken down to a very minimal amount in this picture. I'm not going to get too deep into the story. The story itself, at its core, I really felt was interesting and a creative way to try to bring the franchise back to a quality type level. However, I don't believe Alan Taylor was the man to direct this film. It greatly shows with his actors' performances. We've got Emilia Clarke here taking over for Linda Hamilton, the iconic Sarah Connor role, which she could have been really good at, yet she gives a pretty stale performance. And I believe that a lot of that came from direction. She was pretty kick-ass, she was a pretty badass character, but at the same time, like, a lot of bad scenes, a lot of bad line delivery, and that doesn't help that one of the worst stale tough guy actors of modern day cinema, Jai Courtney, somehow got cast as Kyle Reese in this. Now, I knew immediately when he was cast that I was not going to be happy about that, and I was even less happy about it after I left the film. The dude can't act. He's stale, he's wooden, and he's by no means a representation of what the Kyle Reese character is to me. Not saying I wanted Michael Biehn to come back, but I really actually enjoyed Anton Yelchin's version in Terminator Salvation. Someone that meant more along the lines of a normal, traditional guy who barely eats anything and is fighting for his life every day, not, ripped abs and jacked up Jai Courtney who looks like he could be a male model. Just doesn't fit. I'll get right into the things I did like about the film. Arnold is on point in this. He hasn't changed anything from the past 3 films he was in. He's still a T-800. He's still got it down. Not that it takes much effort. It is his most iconic role of all time. But he's still pretty good. A lot of the one-liners they give in this are hilarious. Now, a lot of them do fall flat, but Arnold's as good as ever here. All of the action sequences with Arnold are fantastic. I really liked everything they did with the action pieces in this. However, the only issue I have with that is it really just is a retread of the original films. A lot of nostalgia, a lot of homage, even, you know, almost a parody at points. It's very self-referential. But I loved everything Arnold did in the movie. He's probably the only reason I'll give this film good points. Jason Clarke as John Connor, yet again, for me, coming off a little bit stale. And I really liked Clarke, especially in last year's Apes film. I thought he was really great in it. I thought he had a great performance in this. I didn't really buy him as Connor, and when he, spoiler alert, turns into the T-3000, though he has a slight sense of menace, it's nowhere near the impact that Robert Patrick had as the T-1000 in T2, or that Arnold had as the T-800 in the original Terminator. As far as production design, character design, all of that, I really enjoyed all of that, and I really liked J.K. Simmons showing up as basically the opposite of Dr. Silberman in the first and second film. That was a really fun time, though I thought he was kind of wasted a little bit. Overall here, the film ends on a note that I pretty much expected as soon as the film started. There was some fun to be had here, but it really lacked the impact and the tone and drive of the first two films. Now, believe me, I did not go into this movie thinking it would be anywhere near T2 or the first film. And what I walked out of was still, and I'll give it this much credit, the best Terminator film since Terminator 2. That's not saying much, especially considering what came after 2 was Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines and Terminator Salvation. Two really bad Terminator films. I hate to say it, I might give this another go just for the hell of it, but I give Terminator Genisys a 6 out of 10. That's right, a 6 out of 10. That's even lower than Nick's rating. I really wanted to like this film. I gave it a really genuine, open shot, and in the long run, I was disappointed with what I got. Maybe if they had cast a different actor as Kyle Reese and got a different director than Alan Taylor. I was never impressed by Thor: The Dark World. I think it's by far one of the weakest films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I didn't think he was the right man for the job here either. If they could just get the right director on this piece, someone that cares about the franchise and these characters, it may work. But as of right now, looks like Magic Mike 2 is beating out old Arnie at the box office, which is a shame. I'd love to see him back at the top of the box office and see the possibility of more sequels. However, I'm not sure that's going to happen. I still hope it happens so that this franchise can get into the hands of someone that cares. Sorry, James Cameron, your endorsement, I don't feel was very truthful about this flick. And on a side note, one last thing I'll say about it that I disliked, I know I'm rambling, this is more of a rant than a review. Lorne Balfe's score to the film, which you can probably hear behind me, was the most boring generic piece of trash that I've heard in a modern blockbuster in a long time. I really hated the cheesy fact that every time Arnold showed up, you heard the classic dun 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 dun. That's the only time in the whole damn film you heard it. Really? They should have got someone else to overhaul this whole film. But Arnold, I still loved everything you did in it because I love you, and you're the best action star of all time. Epic Film Guy Justin, I want to hear what you think about the film, what you're seeing at the movies this weekend on 4th of July weekend, and if you think I'm wrong, tell me why. Until next time, see you next time.